Welcome back to Recall the Midwife. Today we are on series 2, Christmas special. It's a big one. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jen. And just a quick reminder that this week's episode deals with mental health issues and mentions of childhood illness. So if those are topics you would prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one.
In today's Christmas special, the nurses and sisters are rolling out a polio vaccination programme, hoping to avert an epidemic after a number of cases have been reported in the district. Meanwhile, Dr Turner and Shelagh are preparing for their upcoming wedding, with some trepidation on Sheila's part. The sisters also continue to wrestle with Sister Bernadette's decision to leave the church. Jenny Lee is attending to Yvonne Bridges, whose baby is due any day. Her husband Alan is suffering from the ongoing effects of malaria, which he picked up when he fought in Korea. He's also struggling with PTSD, or the horrors, as Trixie calls it. When an unexploded bomb is discovered at a building site, the residents of Poplar are evacuated to a nearby hall. Sheila, who cannot face the sisters, seeks refuge with Dr Turner. With all of the chaos, everyone fails to notice that Timothy is unwell and in fact has polio. Timothy is hospitalised and placed in an iron lung. The wedding is postponed while Timothy's life hangs in the balance. The chaos of the evacuation centre also triggers Alan's PTSD. Trixie and Jenny Lee support the Bridges and suggest that Alan is present at the birth of their baby as a way of helping him through the trauma, much to Sister Evangeline's consternation at the prospect of a man being present. We see Chummy and Peter navigate being new parents, and Jenny Lee's relationship with Alec continues to flourish. Despite the best efforts of the army to defuse the bomb, it detonates and damages the foundations of the artist's house, condemning it. Thankfully, no one is hurt, and in keeping with a Christmas special, all ends well. Timothy recovers but must wear leg braces, and Dr. Turner and Sheila marry in the spring. Oh, it was
great synopsis.
And like, that synopsis is basically the whole podcast, because it was it's so packed.
Another one we could talk for like 3 hours about easily.
Yeah.
Also, Jen, I was going to ask you, like, because we get a longer episode because it's a Christmas special.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, our episode was, so it was, I checked the running time, it was 74 minutes, but I just wondered if you got extra.
No, we didn't get 74 minutes, that's for sure. I think we got an hour. I mean, it's over an hour. But
so you did get a longer episode this time.
Yeah. But I don't think we got 74. I'll have to actually check how long it was, because I wonder what they cut out. I mean, I think they do a pretty good job cutting out enough that I don't, that if when you're watching it, you don't lose anything. Like,
they're so slick. I just love it. I think they'll know about those cuts beforehand as well, knowing they've got to fit it in with American TV and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, can we talk about the first scene, because we've got a lot packed in here.
Okay.
I want to talk about the first bit, right? Because obviously it's Christmas and you're all excited. And then they show Fred trying to sell some mistletoe and stuff like that, right? And then you've got Peter, the policeman, right?
Yeah.
Basically being like, oh, I'll turn a blind eye. Basically trying to fleece Fred. He's just named his son after him. And he's there. Basically like, I'll tell on you unless you sell it me dead cheap. I thought, you cheeky bugger.
Listen, the law is fungible just like everything else on earth. You know what I mean? Like, all of this is just completely up to a personal discretion.
You know what I loved about as soon as you go into this episode, it like launches the Christmas songs. All of those Christmas songs, considering it's are we still in the 1950s or in the 1960s yet?
50s.
Those are still all of the Christmas songs that are basically now on the radio.
Yeah.
Apart from Last Christmas and the best Christmas hit ever at Shakin' Stevens. If you've not listened to it, Americans, listen. It is amazing. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Wait, say the name of the song again?
Shakin' Stevens, Merry Christmas, everyone. Dun, snow is falling. No one needs to hear this.
I know what song you're talking about. I also like the Kelly Clarkson Christmas song, which is...
I know which one you mean. It's good.
Yeah. I won't butcher its beautiful melody with my horrible singing, but...
Right, she's no Shakin' Stevens, but, it's good.
Well,
I was going to join in. I was going to join in with Alex, and then I was like, no one actually needs to do that.
We would have to cut the episode. No offense.
Just have to stop recording and start all over again from scratch.
I think it's a condition. She's fully tone deaf. No offense, Bex.
Yeah. You know what though? There was something there was a different energy watching this episode, being that it's like almost Christmas. Like, I mean, I know we're still like a month away, but like watching a Christmas episode like so close to the actual holiday did kind of like give me some special energy, and like this episode will be listening, like our listeners will be listening to in a couple of weeks, and so they'll even have more. Well, anyways.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, so we have to break this down. So should we talk about Yvonne or the bomb first? Which do you think we should do first?
Oh, what an amazing like bomb! Or should we do the festive polio vaccines? There's so many festive things going on with this episode.
Well, to me, polio, Tim, and the wedding all go together as like one big bump, and I think we should kind of end there because it has a happy ending. But maybe we just do the bomb first because that's kind of like sets up everything else that's an issue in the episode, right?
Okay. And we see more of Alec because he comes. Well, he's obviously courting Jenny Lee. Courting.
Again, Becky has come from 1959.
She's just a reincarnated soul of an old lady.
Courting. Are you courting anyone? That's what I used to get when I was little. And I was like, what do you mean, courting?
Okay, so the episode starts, you think everything's hunky-dory, and it is, and then it's like the other shoe's got to drop, something has to happen, okay, because all of the stuff that they're like the quote problems like in the first 2 minutes are not problems, like Sister Monica Jones' hyacinths are not blooming, like you're like, whatever, there's some pregnant people, there's some stuff happening, whatever. Well, no, okay, boom, middle of the night, you hear something, and then Peter comes in, and he's like, "We have to evacuate." Like,
he's at the door, isn't he, with Cynthia? And considering he lives there, he like knocks on the door. That annoyed me, right?
Yeah.
Number one, that's my first thing.
Walk in?
Yeah, same. Second thing that annoyed me was Cynthia was like, "Oh, sorry, Trixie's hairdryer's just blown the fuse."
Blown a
and
fuse.
And he's like, "Oh, no time to worry about that." And then announces afterwards not to Cynthia being like, actually, no, she didn't. It's actually off for a precautionary measure. He then went upstairs to his wife, and he was like, yeah, it's off for a precautionary measure. So there's poor Cynthia and Trixie thinking they've
She's probably
blown
at the fuse box trying to fix it.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's like the time do you remember when Mary was in the other room and they just didn't tell anyone?
Yeah.
Really
what made me laugh too, in that same vein with Peter was that, Chummy's like, oh my goodness, we have to evacuate. Wait a minute. Okay, like, let me just get my act together here. And he's holding a flashlight. And she's like, could you literally shine that flashlight somewhere that would actually help me with anything I have to do right now? And he's like, what do you mean?
I will say to him, he did shine it on the baby, and that would be my first thought.
Oh, I loved it when he was like, the baby? And she's like, no, the glasses.
She's like, the baby is not my biggest problem. I literally can't see right now. Help me. Yeah, but anyways, but so then the call goes out. They have to literally clear, I don't know, like a 4-block radius of Poplar, which means tons and tons of people. Everyone's gonna get funneled into
there's like 10 in
parish
each
hall.
So there's about 6 million.
Yeah. Now, my favourite part of the evacuation is when Sister Evangelina says to the volunteers, don't be putting any bourbons out because they'll create expectations that we can't fulfill.
It's peak. I feel like this era is peak Evangelina. Like last episode, she was amazing. This episode, she's amazing. Next one, she's just amazing.
She's got like 10 top quality A+ lines, and that one is so freaking good. Like the one, like when she goes off at them about the milk and everything, and like, and we'll get there. But it's just another. Oh my goodness!
I also loved when they were evacuating and Sister Monica Joan brings the hyacinths because they're basically they're waiting to get these hyacinths to bloom. But Trixie asked her if she's got the cake tin, and I was like, yes, those are the priorities.
Oh yeah. If you don't go anywhere with snacks, then like you're not even living life, like everywhere you go you have to have some snacks or be going to get snacks while you're
about the evacuation. I know me and Beck seem to think about accommodation more than you, Jen, because I've been listening back to some of these, and then you're like, why are you caring about like the syphilis or whatever going on, and we're caring about the rooms? But like they put Alan and what was the lady's name? Elaine? Yvonne, sorry, yeah. So they put Yvonne and Alan in this separate room or whatever that was quite roomy, and I thought, why have they not spread the families out more? Like, so they can have a bit of privacy and like the babies can go over there. Like, why have they not done that? There's other rooms they're all just walking through that are just.
But I thought because
then when Alan ran off, so when Alan someone hits a hockey ball through the window and then it triggers Alan's PTSD and he runs off. He just runs into an empty hall.
Yeah, and I was like, why have they not filled that with like maybe girls who don't want to be? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, separate people.
No, yeah. I'm gonna say this. I thought they were all in the parish hall, and to me, like, yeah, okay, there's like hallways and stuff, but you can't block those off with like cots and everything like that. If people want
there was different rooms for definite. It looked like a snooker hall or something.
I
I
didn't.
Lie on the tables.
I mean, the room that Alan and Yvonne are in, to me, looked like just a glorified, like storage room. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, oh, can we have it here for privacy? But it was big, but it wasn't nice. Like, it was like, there was lots of like dusty stuff in the corner and like old
I'm not
things.
saying it was the Ritz, but you know what I mean? They could have separated rather than everyone all being together in a hive of polio, germs. Anyway, PTSD. Sorry,
we'll have someone who does like emergency logistics management on this podcast at some point, and they can talk to us about a lot of these issues. But
yes.
Anyways,
so we need to talk about Alan's PTSD.
Okay, yeah.
So
Alan, sweet.
So
man.
he had really bad night sweats and stuff, and he said it was because of malaria and he sweats. It could have been triggered by that, but obviously he had PTSD from the war. And does anyone remember where he said he was in the war?
Korea.
Well done, girls. I actually remember too.
I
was going to be like a Boer War. Yeah. Well done, Edward Woodward.
Okay, I know where Korea is, and I know what that war was about. So, okay, I'm not a complete idiot, you guys. Like, just to know there.
Yeah. So let's take that, listeners.
That was after World War II. This is entirely separate war.
Yes, the Korean War was. Well, I think he was referencing World War II, but he was in Korea as part of fighting that World War II. Is how I got to it.
So he had bad PTSD. And it meant that his nerves were like I had obviously PTSD when I had after my birth and stuff. Obviously a different kind, but anything to do with blood. If you don't know me, I am so squeamish. Nothing to do with PTSD. I just can't look at blood without fainting. But he's got that, and he like smells it. He's got this awful it was awful the actual, but he was explaining it to Trixie,
Girls.
and I feel like.
Pause. Sorry. No, he was not a World War II veteran. He was a Korean War veteran because the Korean War was from 1950 to 1953. And this
why do we do this to ourselves all the time?
We didn't. No, we didn't. We both said Korea, and then I was like, wait a minute. And so I just wanted to Google because I know that the Korean War is a 1950s war, but I didn't know the exact date. So okay, so it and because of their age, okay, so I just want to make sure that our listeners, just for. So he was in the Korean War, not World War II. He would have been a lot. Because the thing is, there are World War II veterans also in this episode, and they're significantly older. Like Alan and Yvonne, I think, are like in their 20s. And the guys who come in from World War II, like that Scottish guy that they have to get from like the Highlands or whatever to come and defuse the bomb. And spoiler alert, he does not do a good job. Like he's like 55 or something.
Slippers.
So anyways, okay, so he was in the Korean War, sorry, but you were going on.
So he was telling Trixie this absolutely heartbreaking story about his PTSD and like how obviously he doesn't know it's called PTSD, he doesn't know anything about it. And basically this is where Trixie is I think this is the first kind of insight into Trixie's background with a big storyline coming up for Trixie as well. Because it really affects her. She's brilliant acting as well. Basically, he was saying about how he can't stand the smell or sight of blood or anything, and he gets really nervous, and then he has these bad dreams, and then when he has these bad dreams he can't control it, and basically they're saying he wants to sleep in that room because he's going to scream. And they masking the fact that it's his wife's being in labour, but his wife's there, she's so supportive, she loves him loads. But I will say she's supportive until she says to him when he's talking to Trixie, oh, don't go bothering the sister with your story. And I'm like,
yeah, she's like, no one wants to hear about your nerves.
Yeah. Okay, wait a minute, girls, though. Let's just pause. I have to beat this drum. Sorry. The stigma against mental illness, especially in this time, is so astronomically big and powerful. And I think that what Yvonne is doing is trying to be like, okay, I know all of this that you deal with. I know what you're going through, but don't make other people worry about you or feel like maybe you're, quote, crazy or, something like that. Yeah. And then give them a reason to think that there's something wrong with you. Like, I know you're okay. I know you can handle it. And we're in this together, and like, I'll support you. But I don't think it's that she's criticizing him as much as that she's afraid of letting other people know kind of how deeply he's affected and like what he really goes through.
So and anyway, also, Trixie. Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, just because I think he has a lot of shame around it, and I think she also is very protective of him. So anyway.
Although I will say that when the window broke and he ran out of the room when they're examining Yvonne, because she's basically about to go into labour, Yvonne equally looked confused when he ran from the room.
She's like, look, where are you going?
He didn't try and protect his wife lying there, legs akimbo. He just ran out.
Well, that's the traumatic response.
I'm joking. But,
sorry, I'm very humorless when it comes to that. Yeah, I guess.
Trixie makes it a one-woman mission to basically teach him how to be exposed to good blood. I actually think watching a birth would make it worse, but there we go. Because it's like a war zone down there.
Sorry, I just have to interject this. Okay, two things about before we just get to Yvonne actually giving birth. The scene where Trixie is talking to Jenny about her history and her experience with her father who had shell shock, which is, you know, an old word for PTSD, and how her mom would kind of do the night shift and then she would do the day shift, and she was kind of like the sunshine girl. Like, she always had to be happy no matter how she was feeling, because she always had to like make her dad feel uplifted and happy, and that's why like a lot of her problems kind of come around, because she always has to kind of put on this face even if it's not what she's really thinking, which is again a teaser of like where she's going to go in the future. And then the second thing, which I thought, again, this writing, you can never get, I mean, it's so beautiful, but like when Jenny and Trixie go to Sister Juliana and Sister Evangelina and they're advocating for Alan to be at the birth, because they're still not sure if Yvonne is going to give birth in the shelter or if she's going to be able to give birth back at home. Jenny says, very wise for Jenny, got to give her credit here. She says, you know, like Alan needs to know that he will be okay and he can support Yvonne through this, and Yvonne needs to know that Alan can support her through this. And I was like, oh my god, like just so like, and I just love that scene.
It was Sister Evangelina.
Oh yeah,
I loved when Sister Julienne silenced her with the she literally raised her hand and Sister Evangelina just stopped dead in her tracks.
Yep.
But what you were saying, Alex, about how you didn't think birth was perhaps the proper route to help him with his PTSD. But I've said before that my brother's a police officer, and so he's been to some pretty horrific scenes with like road traffic accidents and things, and he said that watching a birth was the most horrific thing he's ever seen.
See, truth. Also, girls, can we just say Horlicks klaxon?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically,
everything.
Yeah. So Trixie gets very upset, and rightfully so. It's a really moving scene, as you just referenced, Jen. Then Chummy tries to offer a Horlicks, and she's like, "Oh, was it Horlicks or something?" Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you think that'll fix everything?" and stormed off. And then we've all done that before. It's really embarrassing. You feel awkward after you've done it because you're dead emotional. I'm looking at one person here, and I'm joking.
Though, that is the British way, that a cup of tea will cure everything.
Yeah, it can reignite.
It is in 1959, and you are from them.
It's making me want to buy. I might buy Horlicks when I do my next shop.
Well, no, I said we need to buy Horlicks to do a taste test when we do the translation episode.
Yes.
Imagine if it's our new thing that we all just obsess over.
I don't think it will
be. Are we? Okay, we'll talk about this off air. I won't distract us.
Yeah. So anyway, so Trixie, then Jenny Lee takes it to her as a bit like a peace offering when she's calmed down a bit, and that is when they have Horlicks, and that is, my friends, the Horlicks klaxon.
Horlicks klaxon. Okay, should we move on to the bomb getting sorted out? Just because we can do that one kind of quickly.
Yeah.
Well, I loved seeing Fred in his civil defence volunteers uniform. And also, nurses saw him in such a different light.
Also, I like the way they explained it. They were like, "Oh, what are you dressed as?" kind of thing. And they were like, "Oh, I'm in my civil defence." Like, they basically had to like write it into the story. Like, actually, I'm a civil defence. Like, they probably would know. But like, they've just had to write it in their scene at the same time as us. I loved it. But he was so good at it.
Fred is the ultimate catch-all. Like, Fred is everywhere. He's the everything character. He's like anything you need, Fred. Any hole you have in the story, Fred. Like, he just is always doing the most.
Fred is one of my favorite characters.
I don't really this is not going to be a long point because I don't want to get bogged down. I don't really understand, like, when they explained what the deal with the bomb was. I got it, but I also didn't get it, which is an unfortunate state.
So what did you get?
So he's like, when these bombs first dropped, they were like on some kind of energy timer thing, and they were supposed to go off within X amount of time. Okay, got that. But he's like, but then if they like got disconnected from something, then it meant that the energy activation like never got triggered. So then they just always kind of like laid in like basically pause mode for however long, and that's why they were worried that this bomb was going to like completely detonate the whole thing. Is that right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think you completely got it.
Oh, okay. Well then.
And also they were like, they tried to count all the bombs, but there were so many they couldn't. So this is how this one split the net, kind of thing.
Right.
And then it's a bit, they're like, oh, we need and also, can I just say, in the olden days, they're all really posh army, they probably still are, I don't know. They're like, oh, we need to send Sergeant from, but he's in Scotland at the moment, and we need to wait a day for him to come down. Don't forget, come on, jolly ho. So then they're all there waiting for this sergeant to come, the poshest sergeant, and he wears like, she was pipe and slippers in Scotland. And send this old man down the hole.
Also, I loved when Dr. Turner was like, we'll when the kids are, we don't need to talk about the kids' Christmas party, but
yes, that's where the polio happens.
Oh yeah,
we do. Also, I have a thing about it too that I want to mention.
But I do love Dr. Turner taking all the kids for a detour past the cordon. Like, let me take you as close as we can to the bomb site.
Yeah, he's like, you guys want to see this horrific bomb site? Yeah, like,
well, so come to the bomb site, and then I'll take you to the surgery to see some dead bodies.
And all the boys are like, woohoo! Oh, but and then when they're leaving, Jack is like, I don't feel well, and they're like, well, anyways, just keep like totally dismissive.
Yeah, so basically, they're in the church hall. That's where they're supposed to be having the Christmas party for the Cubs, and the Cubs are like, well, where are we going to have it? So then Chummy goes round to Bernadette, and Sister Bernadette is not Sister Bernadette, Sheila.
And in my synopsis, I'm like, do I call her Sheila? Do I call her Sister Bernadette?
Well, it's Sheila now, isn't it?
Sheila now. Yeah.
So Sheila was staying at Dr. Turner's because she felt really uncomfortable around the nuns because she's still navigating this new area of her life and she's feeling really awkward. So she didn't want to stay in the church hall with them. She felt really in the community hall with them. She felt really awkward. So anyway, she's staying there on the sofa, all very above board and appropriate, may I add. Anyway, Chummy went round. I really liked that scene because it was kind of like a new friendship era for Chummy with her being like, oh, don't call me Dr. Nurse. I'm no near a nurse notes than you are, Sister Bernadette. It was lovely. It was really nice seeing Chummy and Sheila, like this new relationship they've got. I loved it. He was like, can we have the party here? So that she's like, yeah. So we have this massively rowdy party. Although, can I say, Sister Bernadette, no, Sheila, she's a bit like, oh, don't Jack, don't make the baby sick up his milk. I'm like, all right, party pooper, it's a bloody party.
Also, he's the one looking after the baby.
I know. So anyway, so they have this one scene where they show Timothy drinking out of a bottle and he hands it to Jack and he downs it.
And then, I think Tim was already feeling bad though. I think Tim was the patient zero there. Yeah,
that's exactly why they showed that scene. So then in the next bit, Jack's like, oh, I've got a headache, parties are taken out of me. Cue polio.
Well, Jack, they're like singing Christmas carols on the stage of the Paris Hall, practicing for, I guess, the pageant or whatever. And all of a sudden, Jack just pukes everywhere, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And then they take,
and that is not going to be pleasant because he's basically just downed a bottle of cherryade.
Oh, disgusting. And so they take him to the hospital, and that's when it's like, oh my God, this child has polio, whatever. And then, but the thing is, okay, I think we're done with some of the other stuff, so we can just fully move on to like Sheila, Dr. Turner and Tim. So poor Tim. Okay, we always joke about it, but like this episode, this child was like,
he looked like he'd been dug up. He looked like he'd just been dug up. He looked horrendous. And his dad's like, oh, bro, cream later, yeah, I'll take you for a fry up. Bye.
Well, again, it was just classic because like Tim is literally like dosing himself from his medicine bag because he obviously can't like appear to be sick because he knows no one's really functionally there to take care of him. And then Dr. Turner is like, oh, you're my best man. Like, we're going to go get like shaves and everything. And then literally one phone call comes in and he's like, and then Tim's like, well, when did you want to go get those shaves? And he was like, oh, no, we're not going to do that now. And he's like, what? And he's like, we'll do it tomorrow. It'll be fine. And Tim's just like, oh, here we go again.
Well, there's another scene as well with Tim that really annoyed me. So Sheila's having all this worry about the wedding. Is she doing the right thing? And obviously she's nervous and she's, it's this whole new big thing she's got going on, which again, we'll add guilt to the whole polio thing with her.
Yeah.
Like at one point she's like thinking about a dress and she's like, what's this dress like? What do you think, Timothy? And he's like, I don't know. I'm a boy. I'm not a woman. And she's like, and then he said, someone said you're doing it like all across Kipper or something. It was a really weird saying.
Yeah, I wrote that. Oh, did I write it down?
It was a weird saying. Bex will probably know it. No offense.
I don't know it. It's not one I've.
It was like it wasn't under the covers, but it was something like that. Like
because she's done it all before. Like
you were already married to Jesus, basically, and it's like you're a divorced person. Yeah.
Yeah, and she put the thing away really angrily and snatched it off him. And Timothy was like, oh, you seem angry. She's like, I am cross, but not with you. Well, don't take it out on him then, you bugger. Like,
oh, everyone takes everything out on that poor kid. I mean, yeah.
Also, just really quick on that point, that wedding dress woman was an absolute cow. Like, oh, where's your mother? Do you not have a mother? No. Do you not have a sister? No. Well, that's crap, isn't it? Oh, that's rubbish.
Oh, but when she said, do you have any sisters?
Yeah. I thought that was like a double entendre kind of thing there. Also, you know what's funny? So again, beat the drum. I'm always watching these with my mom because she loves the show so much too. But we were watching the scene where Sheila puts on the gray dress, like again, she's like, okay, and so there's.
I thought she was going to hang herself, by the way, when I first saw that.
No, you didn't. So anyway,
genuinely did. She was standing up on a chair.
So anyway, so she's like pulling the thing, so it's like all these like close-up shots of like her body parts, like with the thing going on. But then and then the last portion is like where the camera zooms out and you see her like in the dress. And literally all of a sudden my mom goes, "Oh, that's a terrible dress." And that was so funny.
I don't think the dress was terrible. I think the hat with it was.
Yeah, the hat aged her.
When Shami said like, "Oh, it's a perfect going away dress," I was like, "Yes, that's a perfect going away outfit." But it was such a drab, sad. I mean, to get married in gray. I mean, I love. Yeah, I know
it's not even off-white, like gray.
It was like kind of just the saddest color to get married in. I thought So, anyways,
that's probably the point of it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, she's clearly feeling, like you said, she's feeling a lot of guilt. She's feeling a lot of shame. She really doesn't know where her place in the world is.
Yeah. So anyway,
she knows where she wants to be, but she's not there.
She went to a really, really awful last dress fit, and she was like, "Oh, I'll just keep it after being berated by this awful woman." Then she's obviously still confused, comes back, and then she goes into the flat, and there's a drink spill on the floor. Again, I thought it was blood at first. Honestly, I'm just ridiculously thick on this one. So anyway, she walks in, she sees Timothy. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" Sees that he's not really waking up. She's like, "Move your feet," blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she then obviously gets into hospital, and then he's in an iron lung and he's really, really poorly, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. But Sandy Toksvig's the nurse.
Yes! GBBO from Great British Bake Off.
Is that really? Because she's not an actress. I've never seen her act in anything. Have you, Bex?
Never.
No.
I'm not a good judge,
No.
But yeah. Oh, wait, sorry. Just one quick thing. And I think Dr. Turner says this in the scene right before Tim officially goes into the hospital. But he said he references Sheila, but he calls her Auntie Sheila.
Auntie Sheila. And I was like, oh.
That really, oh my God. I was so disgusted at that. I was like, don't call her that. I was like, to go from like, I just thought
but it's weird because his wife only died.
Wrong. Oh, his
wife only died not that long ago, because they were referencing like his first Christmas without her last time. So she's not been dead that long. So it's a bit weird being like, "Oh, call her mum now. You've got a new mum 2.0.
But just Auntie Sheila is so. That was really
not
gross
necessary
to me.
But also when Sheila takes him to the hospital, so they're still waiting for Dr. Turner to arrive, and she kind of says to Sandy, because she's saying about the immunity she would have passed on from herself, and she's like, "I'm not his mother," and then she's like, "Well, then if you're not immediate family, you need to." Why didn't she say, "I'm like the next best thing to his mother"?
I'm married. Just lies now. I'm married to his dad. I'm his stepmom.
I'm the only thing this kid's got, really, honestly. I swear, Dr. Turner spent more time with his son when he was in an iron lung than any other time ever that we've seen on this show.
Also, speaking about Dr. Turner, there was a really good scene right near the start. So they're getting clinic ready and stuff, and they're really annoyed because they've got a polio vaccine thing going on at the same time as clinic. And they were like, "Oh, Christmas Eve wedding is just so romantic, isn't it? Oh," and Dr. Turner seems so happy. And Sister Evangelina is like, "Well, men generally are really happy when they get everything they want." Like, I just think
I've literally written this down because I just love this comment from Sister Evangelina.
Oh, she's just a badass. I love
top form in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? I had to laugh too when, because Evangelina, Julianne, and Monica Joan are all dealing with Sister Bernadette leaving, like, in different ways, but it did make me like, this isn't actually a criticism, but when Sister Monica Joan is like, "She's forsaken the soul of Christ for the slaking of the flesh," I just thought that was so funny. I was just like, the way she put it, like,
so basically you slut shaming her. Yeah, you slut shaming her.
Well, she decided to like give up this like really lofty, like grace filled, like dignified life so she could go like boff some guy for 20 years or whatever. I just was like, oh my gosh, it just made me laugh.
We should carry on with Timothy. So basically they have to put the wedding back, don't they? This is to do with Sister Bernadette. Right. They're doing Timothy. So they're not doing Timothy. That sounded weird. We're doing Timothy now. So basically,
we're not doing Timothy either.
No, we're never going to do that.
Discussing a storyline with Timothy Turner.
Even in the latest series, too young. Anyway,
he'll never be old enough. So
yeah. So obviously, she's you know, she's struggling. The sisters are struggling with losing her.
Yeah.
And then obviously she's got this whole crisis with Timothy. The wedding's off. She's absolutely on her knees, doesn't know what to do. Like the stress level must be so high. The place she went to was Nonata's house, and I loved that.
I loved it.
When Sister Bernadette like took when Sister Evangelina took Sister Bernadette's hand when they went into Compline, when she just sang along with them, I burst into tears, like to a level that I never realised I could. From two women holding hands on the TV. I literally just burst into tears. I was just like, that is so beautiful. And like she was like, I'll do everything. I'll cancel all the wedding plans. It's all simple. It'll be fine. Like she was just so earnest and so lovely and there for it. And I just thought, oh, thank gosh, she's back with them.
There were so many that whole thing was what was really getting me going during this episode in terms of like my constant crying when I watch. And just we'll just get there. So Tim recovers. He's out of the iron lung. I thought it was really weird how they draped him over the two of them.
Yeah, he's just like,
it looked like he was a dead body. It was really, I'm like, could they not have laid him in a nicer way? Like, I don't know. It was just so weird the way he was laying there. I'm like, that kid's back is probably killing him, like whatever. But anyway, so they start so now they're planning the wedding, and it's like, oh, you know, the spirit of Christmas lives on even in spring because this is when the wedding is happening. But 2 points. So they're getting Sheila ready for the actual wedding day, and Chummy's there with the sewing machine. Trixie's got the makeup going. Jenny's Jenny's got the nails and everything. And she's like, I've never had nail varnish before. And they're like, oh, well, this color, whatever. And it was
it was just she was creeping around though. If anything, that was a bit weird actually. Auntie Sheila, she was there creeping around the hallways of Nonata's house, like listening and
when they
yearning for that. And then she had it, and I was like, oh, I love it.
I literally wrote in my notes, Sheila is finally one of the girls. Like something she's wanted for so long. She's finally in the mix with them and like doing everything with them, and it was so sweet.
And she's going to be getting some.
I know. I mean, well, whatever Dr. Turner's got to give, you know, we're not even going to speculate. It makes me feel weird to think about it. But anyways, then again, the tears were flowing for me when everyone's at the wedding ceremony. The ceremony is about to start. Sister Julienne and Sheila walk up together because she's about to go down the aisle. And Sheila turns to Sister Julienne and she says, you know, you should really be the one to walk me down the aisle. And I wrote this down because it's so beautiful. She says, Sister Julienne says to Sheila, you belong to no one but yourself, and you know exactly where you're going.
Oh. She's like Meghan Markle.
Poetry!
But also she was just so earnest, and so like there was a scene earlier on where she stopped her and like, is there something special in that box, like your wedding dress? And Sheila was like ashamed of it, like weird, because she didn't know how to deal with it. Whereas Sister Evangelina was just so earnestly happy for her, and I just
they were all so earnestly happy for her, and I like the generosity of spirit was so beautiful.
Can we talk about the flowers as well? What flowers were they again? I've forgotten. Hyacinths.
I think I'm going to get some hyacinth bulbs and I'm going to wrap them in tinsel.
You should.
I'm going to do it.
But the fact that they used those ones, like these things that symbolically went through the bomb site and everything, and they used them in her wedding bouquet, and obviously Tim in his polio leg strap things, what they call braces.
Braces, yeah.
Oh.
I know.
I love that
she's talking about the bomb.
Wait, what?
We didn't actually finish the bomb. I've just realised.
Oh well, really fast. I actually thought that Scottish guy, like I was like, ooh, Scottish guy. But then like he was like, okay, now I don't know. I was in a weird place this week, y'all. Okay. So anyways, he goes into like the little cove or whatever where the bomb is, and he's like, if anyone can save us, it's this old man who's gonna be here. So he's like, all right, hold on, you guys, or whatever. So he starts doing like little tick, 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 you know, twisty, twisty, whatever. And then he like gingerly pulls this thing out of the hole and he picks it up, and then he's like, you know, doing like he has like two parts that he's trying to unravel between each other. And then all of a sudden they just slip out of his hands and drop, and then all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 and he's like, it's gonna blow. And then everyone's like, I just was like, wow, like within 30 seconds of actually trying to work on this bomb, you completely fobbed it. And now
they may as well have they didn't need to get him back from Scotland. I'm
like, why didn't someone just throw a tennis ball at it, let it explode? It would have had the exact same result. Like he
wasted a train ticket there.
He did nothing. And I like really lost it for him, because then he gets thrown to the ground as he's like running away from the bomb. He's like covered in like ash and soot and whatever. And then he goes, oh, well, all is well that ends well. And I'm like,
it didn't end well at all.
Well, also Chummy. So Chummy,
Wow.
the bomb goes off, and then literally Chummy's like all nervous looking for Peter, sees him,
Yeah.
and he's like, everyone can go home now. Hang on, how have they done that inspection within 10 minutes of the bomb going off? And then they're like, oh, not you, nuns. You're never going back. Never.
Also, sorry, this is like a personal criticism, but like I spent so many years in like various levels of like community and like regional theater or whatever, and the way that Peter runs into the parish hall, throws the doors open and says, hello everyone, like all clear has been given for, you know, and he like he gives this line reading about the fact that the bomb site is okay. It was the most like an actor who only has one line and he's literally going to make it count for absolutely everything, like in the community theater production of like Miracle on 34th Street or whatever it is, and he's like, you got, and it's like the scene, I don't know, it just, the way that he did that line just really made me laugh. I was like, wow, you are giving like very like you know, like Mr. you know, like just some like local car salesman who got cast in the like community Christmas show vibes there. But anyways,
Yeah. So then they obviously showed the nuns praying and stuff in a different place, and they were saying like, we didn't spend
they
Christmas,
couldn't go
like,
back. Yeah.
no, we didn't spend Christmas together that year, like in the, you know, in the old woman voice.
Wait, but now we've not finished the wedding, because I wanted to talk about the fact that Sheila wore the Princess Grace dress.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. Yes.
Also, when the lady that ran the dress shop was like, oh, we normally recommend that for taller brides. Do you think she meant younger brides?
Oh no, I thought taller.
Oh, okay.
Probably both. She's a horrible bitch.
I mean, the thing is, like, there's so many ways to body shame. Like, she clearly was just doing. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I don't think she was
dress saleswoman. She was rubbish, wasn't she? Like, you know, read the room. Poor Sheila's had her to deal with, that awful nurse. They're probably sisters.
Also, you know what makes me laugh? Well, okay, I don't want to divert because we have so much still to talk about. Oh, and lest we not forget, Jenny and Alec are like fully dating now, and like she's meeting him in like phone booths to like smooch, and then she like goes to
yeah, that was a cunning.
Yeah, I will say it was I thought it was really cute that he had to like piggyback her up to his apartment because he didn't want his landlady to know, like, and hear like the second set of footsteps and everything.
But he was happy, like, they've obviously discussed that you're going to jump on my back, we're going to sneak up the stairs, but laugh loudly while we're doing it.
I know, that's what I was like. And also keep your voice down while you're talking up there.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
I like the fact that they were bridesmaids, Cynthia, Jenny, and Trixie. But it was very modern that they had different coloured dresses.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe that was might be a war thing as well, fabric.
Yeah,
I think it's actually very just of the time. I think like different colored taffeta dresses was like very like the style at that time. The thing that I thought was cute about it was that if you looked at each of their dresses kind of like fit their personal style. Like Trixie's didn't have any sleeves; it was the tightest one. Cynthia's was like very modest.
I think that's more modern to do that. I think in the olden days, wedding photos in my family and stuff, they're all an awful old same colour ones that are all the same.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I mean,
anyway, she looked beautiful. They were very happy. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous occasion, and I just loved the fact that the nuns were there. I just thought it was so promising, but how joyous over Christmas as well.
But I need to just say, because I mean, a lot happened in this episode. There was so much to discuss. But where's Jane? Where did Jane go?
Oh, I know.
This was my zero, Jane not being there.
Reverend Appleby Thornton wrote her a letter and said, come, like, be with me now. Like, we'll get married and, like, live together in happiness. And that's where I think Jane is. I think she's...
I'd love to know what the actual deal was there.
I mean, clearly, because for our Christmas special appears at the end. So, as I'm watching it now, a Christmas special is at the end of a series, and that's why we're discussing it now.
Right.
But then... when we go into the next series, the Christmas special is the first episode. So clearly she's got to the end of the series, and then just not, the actress is just then not rejoined at the start of the next series.
Yeah.
But why don't they reference where she's gone? So do they, in a future episode, they don't ever tell us where Jane went? They could have at least said, like, they could have just made up that she was like, they could have made reference to her and the Reverend Appleby Thornton.
Well, this is actually my one of my very, 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 very few problems with the show is that there's many exits of people in the series that literally are just like, oh, they're just gone. There they are. You know, like they're just not there anymore, and they don't really have a reason why or any mention of it. And Jane is definitely the first one, but like Chummy kind of goes this way. Like they kind of say where she's going, but they also kind of don't.
I won't say there's two very high profile ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's just there, and then like in later seasons, I was just watching. There's like another one that happens this way too, and it's very weird to me because you think in a show that's like this thoughtful and like this, you know, like these characters you're so invested in their head that they would do a little bit better at like giving people proper exits. It's almost like, you know, they were renewed for the whole season, and then in between seasons they decided they weren't going to come back, and then the show was just like, okay, well, anyways, they just went somewhere, so like who cares?
It might be negotiations as well, though. Like they might be like, oh, well, they might be coming back. We're not sure, so we don't want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the few things I don't think they handle well.
Because with Jane and Chummy, because we've mentioned Chummy, so spoiler alert, Chummy will leave in future episodes.
Yeah.
There was a route that they could, like, Jane had already gone, like her character was already evolving. She could have, it was very easy, even if the actress wasn't in the show, they could have made something up and referred to it. And with Chummy as well, they could have kind of said, like, when, who's the actress who does the voiceover?
Oh, Vanessa Redgrave. Vanessa
Redgrave could have told us that Chummy's future didn't lie in nursing, like her family was her future, and like they could have easily just said,
or just been like, maybe it might have been cut. They might have done a scene where they were like, she's spending Christmas with Reverend Appleby Thornton, but it got cut because there was too much in the scene. It may have done. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then does she come back in the next series?
We'll have to do this as a because none of us can actually answer that right now. I just realised. Can she? Does she? I don't think she does.
Well, season 3, a lot of shakeups happen, like a lot of big shakeups happen. My thing is, I told myself that Jane and Appleby Thornton like ended up together.
Yeah, same.
Such a lovely couple. I love them, and I love Jane. I'm just sad that she's not in it anymore because I just did love her. Like she was such a gentle soul. I just loved her.
Yeah, I genuinely thought she was a brilliant character. Like really, really well played as well. I thought she was brilliant. So if you do want to come back, Jane, we'll have you.
Yeah, love Jane. Okay.
I think we're on to heroes and zeros, ladies.
Yes.
I need to go last because I've not thought about this, despite the fact that we do it every week.
To be honest, Bex, I had one and then I said it before, so I'm not going to say that one now. So, Jen, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I know. I always. I don't know. Well, the thing is, I always think of multiple for both categories, and then I just get flummoxed on the moment.
Well, I've got two. I can go if you want.
Okay, you go first, and then I'll.
Right, Dr. Turner is my zero of the week. I know he's the groom and he's all happy and getting married and all that, but at the same time, his son like literally looks like a corpse in front of him, who's sweating and just awful. And he just basically is like, "Yeah, ciao, I'm just gonna go to the surgery, gotta do something, getting married tomorrow, bye bye." And the anti-Sheila thing, creepy.
But
my hero of the week, and there's quite a lot of good ones, but I will say it's Sister Evangelina for just being so joyful and beautiful and supportive always. And just like, yes, she's heartbroken, but she puts that to the side because she cares and loves for a ex-sister, her, you know, that's still a friend. And I just think she's the most gorgeous, amazing person. And I also really did appreciate that hand movement back, because I wrote that down as well. Angelina, I thought that was amazing.
My hero is going to be Fred, because the way Fred is always the person who's kind of around an artist's house. Like, I just think he's a bit taken for granted. And the way he just like stepped up into his civil defence volunteer role. Yeah,
he's a bit hapless. They kind of take that, don't they?
And also it kind of, because obviously like we're only just out of the back of the war, so I think it just shows that he's like stepped up.
Yeah.
And then
my
zero. Okay, Fred was
he's my hero. My zero is, I just think Timothy, again, sorry to steal Alex's, but the fact it's one thing making someone self-sufficient, it's another thing overlooking a deadly virus, because
he's too busy.
So Dr. Turner is kind of your zero, and Tim's condition is your zero, but not Tim himself.
Not Tim himself. It was very well played.
That'd be a bit harsh if Tim was your zero. For getting polio.
Only losers get polio. I don't think that. I'm just
cancel culture, Jen. Cancel culture. You're gonna get us cancelled.
You'll be removed from the next episode of the podcast, and we won't reference where you've gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll do a Jane on you.
Okay, so I thought I've narrowed it down. So Zero for me is the guy who comes from Scotland to defuse the bomb and literally does nothing and then just like fumbles it and drops it and it goes off anyway. Like just
just a big posh show.
Just when he like pulls it out and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa! And he's like, just, you know, like it just, I don't know. It's just really funny the way that they film that. And also it's a zero because that bomb going off means that Nonana's house is officially uninhabitable, and it like it totally like, you know, like it really seriously damages the absolute foundation of the whole building that Nonana's house is, you know, existing in. And that's kind of I mean, the girls thought they had like another 18 months before they'd get demolished and they'd have to move and everything like that, but it shortens the life of them being able to be there, and it's just really sad. And so it's a definite zero for me. Hero, though, I am going to give it to Trixie this week because she recognizes something. She recognizes something in a patient, and then she does something like really beautiful to help that patient, with Jenny's help as well. But it also allows her to kind of do some self-reflection and gain some self-awareness, and it's the beginning of a journey that she's going on. But I still like that, you know, I like that they highlighted that on the show, and I like that they gave her that, you know, kind of entree into like that deeper part of her. And also like and the thing is, like, you know, it is hard to sometimes understand ourselves like in really, you know, foundational and fundamental ways, because there's so many things that go into like who we are. And, you know, sometimes we look on something really happy and it is really happy, but it's also like, you know, very complicated. And anyways, they allow for that complexity, and I really like that. I love Trixie. So hero.
Amazing. Right, next week, ladies, we are doing a recap on this series, aren't we?
Yes. We are.
So that'll be fun, so please stay tuned. Also after that, we think we're going to do a special episode where we look into translations. This was a fan. We've got fans, ladies. This was a fan request. I never thought we'd even have one listener, so thank you to everyone who listens. Honestly, I can't tell you, the social media stuff we get is absolutely gorgeous. Like, thank you so much to everyone. Honestly, I can't tell you how much it honestly makes our lives. Like, it's so lovely reading them. So thank you so much.
Yeah, everyone is so kind. Everyone is so sweet. Like, we just all heroes.
More suggestions as well. If you do have any suggestions or any ideas or any questions you want answered, we shall do that. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Listening, not watching. Yeah, rewatching. And yeah, follow us on social media, send us questions, listen, like and subscribe, and if you could rate us on Apple, Spotify, everything like that, that'd be amazing as well.
Huge help. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.